The blade sliced through the air without a sound. Vexara watched as her target fell to the ground. Another perfect kill. That made 94. She had never failed a mission. Vexara stepped over the body of the fallen diplomat. No blood stained. Her gray armor. Her weapons never left a mess. She touched the small device on her wrist, and her body changed from the deep blue shade of the night sky back to her natural pale green skin. The camouflage technology was just one of the many tools that made her the most feared assassin in the Carathan Empire. "Target eliminated," she said into her communicator. "Returning to ship." The voice of Commander Zell responded immediately. "Excellent work, Hunter Vexara. The High Council is pleased with your efficiency." Vexara didn't reply. She never cared for praise. She only cared about the mission. As she walked back to her ship, she thought about her perfect record. 94. Kills, 0 failures. Her reputation spread fear across 3 galaxies. 6 hours later, Vexara's ship docked at the main Carathan battle station. The massive structure orbited a dead moon, hidden from the scanners of enemy planets. Commander Zell was waiting for her when she stepped off her ship. "The Council wishes to see you immediately," he said. Vexara followed him through the long corridors of the station. Other Carathans moved out of their way. Everyone knew who she was. Everyone feared her. The council chamber was dark, lit only by the glow of 7 screens. On each screen was the face of a council member, hidden in shadow. They controlled everything in the Empire. "Hunter Vexara," the first council member spoke. "Your service continues to bring glory to the Empire." Vexara bowed slightly. "I serve as required." "We have a new mission for you," said the second council member. "One of great importance to our war efforts." The third council member continued. "Your target is on Earth." Vexara's eyes narrowed. Earth, the planet of humans. The secret war between Earth and the Carathan Empire had been going on for 15 years, but most humans didn't even know it existed. The Carathans had infiltrated Earth's governments, businesses, and military. They were preparing for a full invasion, but certain humans stood in their way. "Show me the target," Vexara said. An image appeared in the center of the room. A human female with light brown hair. She looked ordinary, unremarkable. "This is Abby Miller," the fourth council member explained. Age 35, lives in a place called Lakeside, Ohio. She works as a molecular biologist at Frontier Research Labs. Vexara studied the image. "What makes this human important enough for me to eliminate? She appears to be nothing special." The fifth council member leaned forward. "Appearances can be deceiving. Our intelligence suggests she is developing something that could threaten our entire species. She must be eliminated before she completes her work." "She has avoided our other agents," added the sixth council member. 3 have disappeared while attempting to monitor her activities. Vexara found this interesting. How could an ordinary human woman defeat trained Carathan agents? "There is one more complication," said the 7th council member. "She has a young offspring, a male child, aged 10. Vexara frowned. "This does not change the mission, but it may affect the approach." "The child is not the target," the first council member clarified. "Only the woman. How you deal with the situation is your decision." Vexara nodded. "I understand. When do I leave?" "Immediately. You will be provided with all necessary Earth documentation and currency. A safe house has been established near the target's home." 3 days later, Vexara sat in a rented car across the street from a small blue house. Her skin had been altered to look human, her height reduced by 10 centimeters, her pointed ears rounded, her yellow eyes changed to brown. To any observer, she appeared to be a normal human woman with dark hair. Through the front window of the blue house, she could see Abby Miller moving around her kitchen. The human woman was preparing food while talking to someone out of view. Vexara checked the time. The child would be home from his learning facility, his school. As if on cue, a small yellow vehicle stopped in front of the house. A young boy with the same light brown hair as Abby jumped out and ran to the front door. Vexara watched as Abby opened the door and embraced her son. "Joey," Vexara said quietly, recalling the name from her briefing files. The boy's full name was Joseph Miller. He attended Lakeside Elementary School, 5th grade, and was described as bright but quiet by his teachers. Vexara continued her surveillance as the evening progressed. Abby helped Joey with his homework. They ate dinner together. They watched something on their viewing screen that made them both laugh. Later, Abby read to Joey before he went to sleep. It all seemed so normal. Vexara struggled to see how this human could be a threat to the mighty Karathan Empire. But she knew better than to question the Council's intelligence. As night fell, Vexara used her enhanced vision to continue watching the house. Abby Miller was now alone in a small room filled with papers and a computer. She appeared to be working intently on something. Vexara's communicator vibrated. "Report status," commanded Zell's voice. "Target located and under surveillance," Vexara replied quietly. "I am gathering data on her routines before determining the optimal elimination method. The Council grows impatient. They want this threat removed quickly." "I have never failed a mission," Vexara reminded him. "I will not start now, but I will do this correctly." "See that you do." The communication ended. Vexara returned her attention to the house. Abby had moved to the kitchen and was looking out the window, directly toward where Vexara was parked. For a moment, Vexara wondered if the human could somehow sense her presence. Impossible, she told herself. Humans did not have such capabilities. As Abby continued to stare out into the darkness, Vexara felt an unfamiliar sensation. Doubt. This was not a normal human. Something was different about Abby Miller, and Vexara was determined to find out what it was before she completed her 95th kill. For 3 days, Vexara watched Abby Miller. She memorized every detail of the human woman's routine. Abby woke at 6:15 every morning. She made breakfast for herself and Joey by 6:45. They left the house. By 7:30, Joey to school on the yellow bus, Abby to her work at Frontier Research Labs in her small red car. Vexara had many opportunities to complete her mission. A quick strike while Abby slept. A long-distance shot as she walked to her car. A poison that would leave no trace. But something held her back. The Council wanted information about what Abby was working on. Simply killing her might not be enough. On the 4th day, Vexara decided to get closer. She parked her car near Frontier Research Labs, a plain 3-story building on the edge of town. Using her wrist device, she changed her appearance again. Now she looked like a delivery person, complete with a package and uniform. The front desk security guard barely looked at her as she entered the building. "Delivery for Abby Miller," Vexara said, mimicking the local accent perfectly. "3rd floor, room 307, the guard replied, waving her through. Vexara took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The hallway was quiet. She passed several doors until she found 307. The door was slightly open. Vexara peered inside. Abby sat at a desk, looking at something through a microscope. She was alone in the room. Vexara could kill her right now. No witnesses. But instead, she knocked on the door. Abby looked up. "Can I help you?" "Delivery," Vexara said, stepping into the room. She placed the empty package on a nearby table. Abby frowned. "I wasn't expecting anything." Vexara looked around the lab. There were samples in small containers, computers running complex programs, and papers covered with scientific notes. On one wall was a large chart showing what appeared to be DNA sequences. "Must be a mistake," Vixara said. "I'll take it back." Abby had already returned to her microscope. "Thanks." As Vexara turned to leave, she noticed a photo on Abby's desk. It showed Abby and Joey standing with an older man in a military uniform. Vixara memorized the man's face. He wasn't in her briefing files. Back in her car, Vexara sent a message to Commander Zell. "Request identification of unknown associate." She attached an image of the military man from the photo. The response came quickly. "Subject is Alan Carter, Colonel, United States Air Force, retired. Currently works as security consultant. Known to have specialized knowledge of extraterrestrial defense systems." This was interesting. Why would a molecular biologist be connected to someone with knowledge of alien defenses? The mission was becoming more complex. That evening, Vexara followed Abby from work to a grocery store. She watched as the human filled her cart with food. Nothing unusual. But then Abby made a phone call in the parking lot. Vexara enhanced her hearing to listen. "Alan, it's me," Abby said. "I think we're making progress. The protein sequence is responding to the compound." There was a pause as she listened to the response. "I know it's dangerous," Abby continued. "But if this works, we'll have a defense against them. Joey will be safe." Another pause. "No, I haven't noticed anyone watching. But I'm being careful, just like you taught me." Vexara frowned. The human was more aware than she had appeared. This would make things more difficult. Later that night, after Abby and Joey were asleep, Vexara broke into Frontier Research Labs. She moved silently through the dark building, avoiding the security cameras. In Abby's lab, she searched through the computer files, copying everything to a small device. Whatever Abby was working on, a council would want to know the details. As Vexara was about to leave, she heard footsteps in the hallway. She quickly hid behind a large piece of equipment. The door opened, and a security guard shined his flashlight around the room. "Hello? Anyone in here?" The guard called out. Vexara remained perfectly still. The guard took a few steps into the room, then shrugged and left, closing the door behind him. Once he was gone, Vexara slipped out of the building and returned to her safe house. She sent the stolen files to the council and waited for their response. The next morning, Vexara was parked outside Abby's house again. She watched as Joey ran out to the bus, his backpack bouncing against his small back. A few minutes later, Abby emerged, but instead of getting in her car, she walked to the house next door. An older man came out to greet her. Vexara recognized him as Frank Peterson, Abby's neighbor. According to the files, he was a retired police officer. They talked briefly, then Abby returned to her house and drove to work. Vexara's communicator buzzed. It was Commander Zell. "The council has reviewed the files you sent," he said. "The human female is developing a biological agent that could identify Karathans disguised as humans. If completed, it would expose all our agents on Earth." Now Vexara understood. If humans could detect Karathans, the entire invasion plan would fail. "You must eliminate her immediately," Zell ordered, "and destroy her research." "Understood." Vexara replied. As she prepared to carry out her mission, Vexara's thoughts turned to the boy, Joey. He would return from school to find his mother dead. This shouldn't matter to her. She had killed parents before. But something about this mission felt different. That afternoon, Vexara watched Abby's lab from a building across the street. Through her enhanced vision, she could see Abby working frantically, mixing chemicals and checking results on her computer. She seemed to sense that time was running out. Vexara prepared her weapon. a thin dart filled with a toxin that would leave no trace. One shot through the open window of the lab, and her mission would be complete. She raised the weapon and took. Aimed out at that exact moment, Abby looked up from her work and stared directly at the window, as if she could see Vexara watching her. Their eyes seemed to meet across the distance, and for the first time in her career as an assassin, Vexara hesitated. Vexara lowered her weapon. She had never hesitated before. Why now? She needed to complete this mission. The council was waiting. 95 kills, 0 failures. That would be her new record, but something about Abby Miller made her pause. She needed to understand more before she acted. That evening, the power went out in Abby's neighborhood. It was no accident. Vexara had disabled the local power grid. She watched from her car as the houses went dark one by one. People came out of their homes. Confused and worried, Abby emerged from her house with a flashlight. Joey followed close behind her. They walked next door to check on their neighbor, Frank Peterson. Then they moved down the street, helping other neighbors. Abby seemed to know exactly what to do in an emergency. This was Vexara's opportunity. With everyone distracted by the power outage, she could approach Abby directly. She stepped out of her car and walked toward the group of neighbors who had gathered in the street. "Does anyone know what happened?" Vexara asked, pretending to. Be a concerned resident. Abby turned her flashlight toward Vexara. Probably just a transformer failure. It happens sometimes. "I'm Kate," Vexara said, using her false human name. "I just moved in down the street." "Abby Miller," Abby replied, extending her hand. "And this is my son, Joey." Vexara shook Abby's hand, careful not to show her surprise at the direct contact. Human skin felt warmer than she expected. "Hi," Joey said, looking up at Vexara with curious eyes. "Which house did you move into?" "The gray one at the end of the street," Vexara lied smoothly. "That's been empty for months," Joey said. "Did you get all the leaves out of the pool?" Vexara hadn't expected such a specific question. "Not yet," she said. "There's still a lot to clean up." Joey nodded. "I could help sometime. Mom says I'm good at cleaning." "Joey loves to help new neighbors," Abby explained with a smile. "It's how he earns his allowance." Vexara nodded, unsure how to respond to this offer of assistance. None of her training had prepared her for conversations with human children. Frank Peterson joined their small group. "Power company says it might be a few hours before they fix it," he reported. "We should check on Mrs. Dunbar," Abby suggested. "She needs her oxygen machine." "I'll go with you," Frank said. He gave Vexara a long look, as if assessing her. His eyes narrowed slightly. "Don't think I've seen you around before." "I keep to myself," Vexara said. She could tell he was suspicious. Former law enforcement officers often had good instincts about strangers. "Well, welcome to the neighborhood," Abby said. "Actually, why don't you come over for dinner tomorrow? We're having a small get-together with some friends." It would be a good way for you to meet people. This was unexpected, but perfect. An invitation to Abby's house would give Vexara the access she needed. "Thank you. I'd like that." After they parted ways, Vexara returned to her safe house and contacted Commander Zell. "I've established direct contact with the target," she reported. "I've been invited to her home tomorrow." "Excellent," Zell replied. "This is the perfect opportunity to eliminate her and destroy her research." "Her research appears to be at her lab, not her home," Vexara pointed out. "Our intelligence suggests it keeps backup data at her residence. Find it and destroy it after you eliminate her." Vexara nodded. Understood. The next evening, Vexara arrived at Abby's house with a bottle of wine, a common human social gesture she had learned about. Abby opened the door with a smile. "Kate, I'm so glad you could make it. Come in. The house was warm and filled with delicious smells. Joey was setting the table, while Frank Peterson stood in the kitchen talking to an older woman Vexara didn't recognize. "This is my Aunt Patty," Abby explained. "And you already met Frank." Aunt Patty smiled warmly. "So nice to meet you, dear." Frank just nodded, still watching Vexara carefully. Another car pulled up outside, and moments later, a tall man entered the house. Vexara recognized him immediately from the photo Colonel Alan Carter. "Alan, this is Kate, our new neighbor." Abby said. Alan shook Vexara's hand firmly. "Military?" he asked directly. Vexara was surprised by the question. "Why do you ask?" "The way you stand. The way you assess a room when you enter. I recognize the training." Vexara had to think quickly. "I was in the Army. 4 years." Alan nodded, seeming satisfied with this explanation. "Marines myself, before I transferred to Air Force." "Where were you stationed?" Before Vexara could answer, Joey interrupted. "Dinner's ready." "I helped make." Mashed potatoes. Everyone moved to the table. Vexara sat between Joey and Aunt Patty, with Abby directly across from her. The conversation flowed around her talk of Joey's school projects, Frank's garden, and Aunt Patty's bridge club. Vexara said little, watching and listening. She could kill everyone in this room in less than 10 seconds. But that wasn't the mission. Only Abby was the target. "So, Kate," Abby said suddenly, "what brought you to our little town?" "Work," Vexara replied. "I needed a change." "What kind of work do you do?" Alan asked. "Security consulting," Vexara said, using a profession. That would explain any unusual knowledge or skills she might accidentally reveal. Alan looked interested. "Really? Which firm?" "It's a small company." "You probably haven't heard of it." The phone rang, interrupting their conversation. Abby excused herself to answer it. From where Vexara sat, she could see Abby's face change as she listened to the caller. Fear, anger, determination. When Abby returned to the table, she was smiling again, but Vexara could tell it was forced. "Sorry about that. Where were we?" After dinner, while everyone was distracted with dessert, Vexara slipped away to explore the house. She found Abby's home office and quickly searched through the computer files. Nothing about her research was there. She checked bookshelves, drawers, and cabinets. Nothing unusual. And she noticed a small safe hidden behind a painting. It would take time to open it without the combination, time she didn't have right now. "Looking for something?" Vexara turned to find Abby standing. In the doorway, arms crossed. There was no fear in her eyes, only a cold determination that Vexara hadn't seen before. "I got lost looking for the bathroom," Vexara lied. "It's down the hall," Abby said, "not behind my private safe." They stared at each other for a long moment. Vexara realized that her cover was blown. Abby knew she wasn't just a new neighbor, that the question was, how much did she know? "Who are you really?" Abby asked, her voice quiet but firm. Vexara considered her options. She could kill Abby right now. It would be easy, but the others were just down the hall. There would be witnesses, complications. Just a new neighbor. Vexara insisted. Abby shook her head. "No, you're not. Frank ran a check on you. There's no Kate living in the gray house. There's no Kate matching your description anywhere in town." Vexara tensed, ready to strike if necessary. "You've been checking on me?" "Of course I have. Just like you've been checking on me." Abby stepped into the room and closed the door behind her. "Let's stop pretending. Who sent you? What do you want?" Before Vexara could answer, they heard Joey calling from the hallway. "Mom? Kate? Where are you guys?" "We're in my office, honey," Abby called back. "Just showing Kate some family photos." "We'll be right out." Abby lowered her voice. We'll finish this conversation later. For now, let's rejoin the party. Unless you want to make a scene in front of my son? Vexara nodded slightly. She didn't want to expose her mission in front of the child. It would complicate things unnecessarily. They returned to the dining room where Joey was helping Aunt Patty serve apple pie. Alan and Frank were deep in conversation about fishing, but both men looked up sharply when Vexara and Abby entered. Everything okay? Alan asked, his eyes moving between the two women. Just fine, Abby said with a forced smile. Kate was interested in seeing some of our vacation photos. The rest of the evening passed in tense silence, at least for Vexara and Abby. The others chatted happily, unaware of the silent battle happening right in front of them. When it was time to leave, Vexara thanked Abby for the dinner. We should talk again soon, Abby said meaningfully as she walked Vexara to the door. Yes, we should, Vexara agreed. The next morning, Vexara followed Abby to work. Instead of going to her regular lab, Abby drove to an industrial area on the edge of town. She parked behind a warehouse and entered through a side door. Vexara waited 15 minutes, then approached the building. It had no windows and only 2 visible doors, both with security keypads. She circled the warehouse, looking for another way in. Finally, she found a ventilation shaft large enough to crawl through. Inside the warehouse was a hidden laboratory, much larger and more advanced than Abby's workspace at Frontier Research. Vexara moved silently along a catwalk above the main floor, watching as Abby worked with several other scientists. They were gathered around a large containment unit that glowed with a faint blue light. Vexara took pictures with her wrist device and sent them to Commander Zell. His response was immediate. This confirms our worst fears. They are developing a biological detection system for our kind. You must destroy the lab and eliminate all scientists involved. Vexara frowned. That wasn't the original mission. The target was only Abby Miller. She replied, The mission has expanded, Zell said firmly. All humans with knowledge of this project must be eliminated. As Vexara was considering her next move, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout the lab. The scientists began rushing around, securing samples, and shutting down equipment. We have a breach, someone shouted. Security Protocol Alpha. Vexara realized they had detected her presence somehow. She needed to move quickly. She dropped from the catwalk to the floor below, landing silently despite the 15-foot drop. Abby turned and saw her. Their eyes met across the lab. There was no surprise in Abby's face, only resignation. I knew you'd find this place eventually, Abby said. She pressed a button on a nearby console, and thick security doors began to close around the lab. But you're too late. The other scientists had fled through emergency exits, leaving Abby alone with Vexara. What are you working on? Vexara demanded. You already know, Abby replied. A way to identify your kind when you're disguised as humans. Why? What threat do we pose to you? Abby laughed bitterly. You're asking me that? Your people have infiltrated our governments, our military. You're planning an invasion. It is. The natural order, Vexara said. The strong conquer the weak. Is that what they told you? Abby shook her head. They lied to you. This isn't about conquest. It's about fear. Vexara frowned. The Carathan Empire fears nothing. Then why are they so desperate to stop my research? Abby moved toward a computer terminal. What I've discovered isn't a weapon. It's the truth. Before Abby could reach the terminal, Vexara moved with incredible speed, blocking her path. I cannot let you continue this work. You mean you can't let me expose the truth? Abby countered. That your people aren't the superior beings you think you are. That humans have something you don't. Vexara's communicator buzzed. It was Zell again. 3 more agents are en route to your location. Hold the target until they arrive. Abby saw the device on Vexara's wrist. Calling for backup? I thought you worked alone. The mission parameters have changed, Vexara admitted. Because they're afraid, Abby said. Not of me, but of what I know. She looked directly into Vexara's eyes. Ask yourself, if humans are so weak, why send their best assassin to kill one human mother? Why send reinforcements? The question troubled Vexara. It didn't make sense. Unless Abby was right, and the council was afraid. You have killed 94 targets, Abby continued, all without failure. Why hesitate now? Vexara stared at her. How do you know about my record? Abby smiled sadly. Because you're not the first assassin they've sent. Just the most dangerous. A loud crash came from above as something broke through the roof of the warehouse. Vexara looked up to see a Karathan dropship hovering overhead. The reinforcements had arrived earlier than expected. They're not coming to help you finish the mission, Abby said urgently. They're coming to make sure there are no witnesses including. You've seen too much, asked too many questions. The council would not eliminate me, Vexara insisted, but doubt had crept into her mind. Then why send 3 agents to handle one human woman? Abby asked. Unless they don't trust you anymore. Vexara looked at the dropship, then back at Abby. For the first time in her career, she didn't know what to do. And then Joey's voice came from a hidden doorway across the lab. Mom? Are you okay? I heard the alarm. Both Abby and Vexara froze as the boy stepped into view, his eyes wide, with fear. Joey, run, Abby shouted, but it was too late. 3 Karathan soldiers dropped from the ship above, landing between Joey and his mother. They looked like humans at first glance, but their movements were too quick, too precise. One of them grabbed Joey, who screamed in terror. Mom, help! Abby lunged forward, but another soldier blocked her path. Stay where you are, human, he ordered. The 3rd soldier turned to Vexara. Hunter Vexara, you have failed in your mission. The council is disappointed. Vexara kept her face calm, though her mind raced. The mission is not complete. I was gathering intelligence. Your orders were to eliminate the target immediately, the soldier said. Instead, you hesitated. You questioned. The council does not tolerate questions. Let my son go, Abby demanded. He has nothing to do with this. The soldier holding Joey tightened his grip. This child is part of the experiment, is he not? He carries the marker. Vexara looked at Joey, then at Abby. What marker? That's what they're really afraid of, Abby said quickly. Not my research. Joey, show her honey. It's okay. Joey stopped struggling. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Slowly, his skin began to change color, shifting from human pink to a pale blue. The soldier holding him jumped back in surprise. He's one of us? Vexara asked, shocked. Half. Abby explained. His father was Karathan, a scientist who disagreed with the invasion plans. We fell in love. When the council found out, they had him executed for treason. The lead soldier drew his weapon. This half-breed abomination is exactly why we must conquer the humans. They contaminate our pure bloodline. Is that what the council told you? Abby asked. That humans are contaminating your species? They lied. The truth is that human DNA makes your species stronger. Joey can do things no pure Karathan can do. Silence! The soldier shouted. We will complete Hunter Vexara's mission. Then we will return to the ship with the child for study before termination. Vexara looked at Joey. The boy was terrified, but brave. He reminded her of someone. Herself, long ago, before the council took her and trained her to be their perfect killer. The boy stays with his mother, Vexara said firmly. The lead soldier turned to her in surprise. You dare to question orders? I dare to think for myself, Vexara replied. Something the council has tried to program out of me for years. She moved with lightning speed, striking the soldier nearest to her. He fell, without a sound. The lead soldier fired his weapon, but Vexara was already moving, rolling across the floor toward Joey and his captor. The soldier holding Joey threw the boy aside and prepared to fight, but he was too slow. Vexara's blade sliced through his armor as if it were paper. The lead soldier backed away, raising his communicator. The hunter has turned traitor. Send reinforcements. Abby had reached Joey and was holding him close. Are you okay? She asked, checking him for injuries. I'm fine, Mom, Joey said. His skin was still blue, but he no longer seemed afraid. Vexara faced the lead soldier. Tell the council their mission has failed. The first in my career. Traitor. He spat. You were our greatest hunter. I was your greatest slave, Vexara corrected him. Now I am free. She moved toward him, but he fired his weapon at the ceiling, causing debris to fall between them. When the dust cleared, he had escaped back to the dropship. Alarms were still blaring throughout the lab. Abby grabbed Vexara's arm. They'll send more. We need to go. Now. Where? Vexara asked. I have a place, Abby said. A sanctuary for others like Joey. Half human, half Karathan children. There are more of us than your council knows. Vexara stared at her in disbelief. More human Karathan children? How is this possible? Your people have been coming to Earth for decades, Abby explained as she led them toward a hidden exit. Not all of them agreed with the invasion plans. Some fell in love with humans. Some had children. The council told us humans were inferior beings, Vexara said. That mixing our species would weaken us. They lied, Abby said simply. Hybrid children like Joey have abilities neither species possesses alone. That's what scares them. Joey looked up at Vexara. I can sense other Karathans. That's how Mom knew you were watching us. I told her. They reached a small vehicle hidden behind the warehouse. Abby quickly started the engine. Get in. We don't have much time. As they drove away, Vexara saw more dropships appearing in the sky above the warehouse. The council was sending everything they had. Why did you help us? Abby asked as they sped down empty back roads. You could have completed your mission. Vexara was silent for a moment. 94 kills. No failures. Until now. She looked at Joey in the back seat. I was taken from my family when I was his age, trained to be a weapon. I never questioned my orders until I met you, a human mother willing to die to protect her child. And now? Abby asked. Now I have made my choice, Vexara said. The council will hunt me as a traitor. I cannot go back. Then come with us, Joey said from the back seat. You can help protect the others. Abby nodded. We have a network of humans and Karathan rebels working together. We could use someone with your skills. They drove for hours, finally reaching a remote compound hidden in the mountains. As they approached, Vexara saw children, playing. Some looked human, some Karathan, and some a blend of both. Adults of both species worked together, watching over the children. Welcome to Sanctuary, Abby said as they parked the car. A tall Karathan male approached them. Abby, you made it. We were worried when we heard about the attack. He noticed Vexara and tensed. Who is this? A friend, Abby said. She saved Joey. She saved us all. The man studied Vexara carefully. You're one of the hunters. I recognize the armor design. I was, Vexara corrected him. Now I am something else. Joey took her hand. She's going to help us, Uncle Ben. She's really fast and really strong. Uncle Ben smiled slightly. We need all the help we can get. The council won't stop hunting us. No, they won't, Vexara agreed. But now they'll have to deal with me hunting them. As the sun set over the sanctuary, Diosara looked at the children playing, at the humans and Karathans working together, at Joey with his blue skin and brave heart. For the first time in her life, she felt something new, purpose. Not the purpose the council had programmed into her, but one she had chosen for herself. 94 kills, 1 failure. And that failure had saved her soul.